This is Dr. Tom Gerard, and today I'm going to go over your form assignment that is due. I'm not going to, because of snow day, we're not together, and I will not be with you next week. You will have a guest speaker. So I hope that you come to class and you might get some really great things out of it, I hope. We're still going to continue to move through the material in the course because, like I said, we got 19 chapters to cover this semester. So let's talk about this form assignment. It's called Choosing a Global Entry Strategy. This is what you'll be covering the week that I'm not there, and you'll be talking about it. Now, in your book, there's a lot in this chapter, of course, that you'll be exposed to, but this is what the assignment is, the form assignment. It's really more of an assignment than it is a form where you talk back and forth. Really what we're looking for is take a look. If you're a company that is, let's just say you're a company from the United States and you're a business and you want to expand into a foreign market. That's what this is about. And this little diagram tells different methods. These are different modes of expanding into foreign markets: exporting, franchising, strategic alliance, joint venture, or direct investment. It's got this little kind of a control thing, and on your thing in your book, on your assignment, in fact, you'll look at it here. This is what you'll see in My RSU. You'll see where it says export, franchise, strategic alliance, joint venture, direct investment. And here is the continuum of risk and control. The more control you have, the less risk you have, right? Or actually, it's the other way around. I should say this. I have more risk if I go with direct investment. So think about direct investment. We'll talk about that one first. Direct investment is I'm going to go all in. Think about Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola says we're going to build the bottling factory in Mexico. And not only are we going to build the bottling factory, we're going to have the route drivers are going to be employees of Coca-Cola. We're going to have salespeople call on the stores that work for Coca-Cola. We're all in, right? So it's direct investment. Now, you have a big risk because there's lots and lots of money it costs to go ahead and set up an entire business in a foreign country. And a lot of those problems you'll see in this chapter. So that's one of the ways. Let's go back over here real quick. I'm going to go to direct investment is way out here on the fringe of the most risk, but I have more control, right? Because the employees work for me. The truck drivers work for me. The salespeople work for me. The way that the advertising is done in that country is done for me, the way I say. Okay, so let's go all the way into the beginning, into the middle, where I have very little control, but I don't have that much risk. So let's talk about exporting. And you may be familiar with exporting. Let's just say, let's see if I got a picture here. Oh, wait, this is going to be for your book. Here's exporting. Rolex watches are sold all over the world. Now, they don't set up stores, Rolex stores in other countries, but basically they export their watches to be sold. So this is the easiest way to get into foreign markets is to export your product, maybe made here in the United States, export it to other countries. The idea with the control is once it gets into that border, once it gets into that country, I have really no control about the way it's marketed, the way it's displayed, the way it's sold. None of that. I have no control over that. But it's the easiest way to get into another market is just simple exporting. Once it's there, you've lost control, right? Next we have franchising. Now we're all familiar with franchising. Here we see KFC, Pizza Hut, of course McDonald's and is one of the largest, if not the largest franchisor in the world. KFC is right on their tail, owned by Yum Brands. But franchising, now we have a contractual agreement. We open up you get to open up a KFC. You're a local owner. You're a person from this country that becomes a franchisor for KFC or McDonald's or Pizza Hut, which, by the way, these are both owned by the same company. But we're going to allow you to operate under our model. Now, in this case, most people are going to get a franchise with something like McDonald's or KFC. They're going to pay a lot of money to get that and to operate with that brand name, because really buying the brand name. But think about a company like maybe, carpet cleaning, or maybe even a hotel. I get Marriott or Hilton hotels to set me up in business, and I operate as a Hilton or as a Marriott or as, some carpet cleaning company that I learned all of their procedures. They taught me, they set me up with the equipment. I'm operating under maybe a brand, and I'm having to pay a franchise fee to be part of that, which has value. But at some point I decide, hey, I can go out on carpet clean on my own. I don't need to be called, whatever the main brand is for that carpet cleaning. And so the franchisor has more risk, right? The company has more risk. So if we're going to go in and we're Hilton and we're going into a place and we're teaching somebody how to start a hotel and be in the hotel business, and they got the hotel, one of our Hilton names on the front of it, and they decide, hey, we don't want to pay, we've got all set up now, we don't want to pay the franchise to Hilton anymore. Now, if it's a Hilton, it's probably, but Hilton's got other brands, like smaller brands, maybe like the I'm trying to think of the one that is the Hilton, their low end. I guess it's not really, it's still a nice, Hampton Inn, Hampton Inn is what I believe it's called. It's one of their lower expensive hotel chains that's owned by Hilton. And so nevertheless, I've got a Hampton Inn, and maybe people in my country don't know that brand. They don't really care whether it's a Hampton Inn. They just want a nice hotel. But I'm paying Hilton a fee. So I decide as a franchisor that I don't want to pay. And so now I just take off the name. I discontinue operating as a franchisee. So where I'm going with that is Hilton has a risk. They have a risk that we're going to teach you everything about our business and how to operate hotels and how to be successful. And then you're going to just leave us and go away. Now, probably you're not going to leave KFC or McDonald's, right? But you might if it was a carpet cleaning company, pest control company, maybe like Supercuts or one of those hair cutting places. Some of the student learning places, that lots of franchises we got out nowadays. That maybe nail salons, things like that. I've learned how to do it, and now I'm going to go out on my own. Now, strategic alliance. Now we got these two. These are very similar. Let's say we have a strategic alliance. Now, strategic alliance is more where we have two firms, two separate different firms, and we're going to maintain ourselves as two separate firms, but we're going to create an alliance. So they use in your book Uber and Spotify here because they have a strategic alliance. Uber is still Uber, Spotify is still Spotify. Spotify is in Sweden. And they want to make really big in the United States, which of course they have, but they do an alliance with Uber and we kind of saw on some of our other things in class where companies combine. Now remember, this particular assignment is on global entry into the markets, right? The form topic says, choose one of the modes for global entry and identify pros and cons of that mode of entry. Identify one company that has used that mode of entry and explain how it was used. Now, don't use Rolex, don't use Pizza Hut or Starbucks, KFC, Holiday Inn, that's what I kept saying, Hilton, Spotify, etc., because those are the ones that's given to you in your book. Come up with another company that's not been covered in your book or not covered here that you can pick how they've done this. Don't pick McDonald's for franchising. If you did that, I'm sorry, you've missed the assignment, right? It says right here, do not use the examples from the book. You're going to use a company that you can think of that's went into a foreign market. Maybe you're an international student and you're thinking about a company from your country that has expanded in the United States. That would be a great one. I'd love to hear that. Okay, so franchise a little bit less. Strategic alliances were two different companies. I'll tell you why I went to this whole speech right here, because one semester I had a student that did all of this stuff here, and he talked about these pros and cons and all these things, and he said Target and Starbucks. Well, Target is Target, and Starbucks is Starbucks, but Starbucks is in Target. Well, that's great. The only problem with that is I don't think there's any Targets and Starbucks in other foreign countries. In other words, Target wasn't a foreign country, and in a foreign country that Starbucks says, hey, we want to go into a foreign country, and we're going to do an alliance with Target to get there. Now, maybe if Starbucks did an alliance with some foreign grocery store chain or some other kind of big retail or a company like Target in a foreign country, then that would be a strategic alliance, right? But if you say Target and Starbucks is a strategic alliance, true, there's pros and cons to that. True, it's not global entry strategy. That's what this is about, okay? Now, that strategic alliance is we're two separate firms. We're operating independently. We have a contractual agreement to work together. Okay, now joint venture is a little different. This is where we actually form a third company. And so, in fact, I don't know what they use as an example here as in your book. Let's see what they say. It doesn't even say here. But there are companies, and my experience is local, of course, not. But perhaps we start a third company, and I think maybe you might relate this maybe to some automotive. It says Indy here. I'm thinking of maybe the Tata Motors or something, where Ford Motor Company says we want to sell Fords in India, and India people say, well, they don't. People in India don't like Fords, but Fords have been around for over 100 years. They know how to make cars, probably better than most people in India. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but you get the idea. So Tata Motors, and I'm making all this up, of course, as an example, we say we're going to form, and people know Tata Motors in India, but they know that they're no good. I don't know, maybe they're great, I don't know. But let's say people don't like Fords, they don't like Tata. But Ford is really good at motors, and Tata knows the Indian market, right? And so what we do is we do a joint venture, and we combine our forces together. We form a third company, and we could call it Ta Ford or something, or Ford Ta. I don't know, I'm just making that up. But we form a third independent company that has the expertise of Ford Motor Company making cars, and it has the expertise of Tata Motors knowing the local market, right? So, and then we already talked about direct investment, and Lenovo, they use as an example, where we are actually, I like the one of Coca-Cola because they're really big about going all in foreign countries. Okay, so this is our assignment. You're going to pick one of these. You're going to pick a company that's used this to get into a foreign market. Don't just say, Hilton Hotels used franchise to get into, Uruguay or something, and that's it. You need to discuss it a little bit. So I do grade these manually, and so a lot of your stuff, as you know, are graded automatically in your course. But the form assignment and the regular, what we call the assignment, which is over Chapter 9, I've extended the dates on the VALS survey assignment, and you can do it anytime. You can do it. You don't even have to go through Chapter 9 to do it. You can go ahead and do it. It's a survey, external survey that you're going to take, and then you're going to fill it out online in MyRSU. So you can do that one. It's open. You still have some time to do that. This one is due. I want you to do it before I get back, and you shouldn't have any trouble with this. I'm not so much looking on whether or not you're responding to other people's, like most of your typical forum assignments. I'm really more concerned that you're understanding the concept. Okay? So I will see you when I get back.